Hello everyone, welcome to this first video of the mini-series about corporate level strategies, and I'm gonna talk in this video about diversification. So diversification allows companies to basically create more profit by making their business more diverse, more different than what it was before. And I will go a little bit into detail on different ways that can happen. I explained about diversification in other videos before, but I want to point out now that there are a couple of advantages of doing diversification because it will allow indeed to increase profitability in a couple of different ways. Number one, through the transfer of competencies, and that means that different business units belonging, for example, to the same conglomerate can take advantage of skills that are the same in all of them. For example, through the leverage of competencies, which means that we can develop better industries by having inside knowledge or by having a better understanding in another industry that we already are doing business in. By sharing of resources as well, for example, by using of product bundling, or by utilizing general organizational competencies. And I will talk about each one of them in detail. So in terms of transferring competencies, what does that mean? It means that transferring competencies goes through the concept of taking a distinctive competency and developed by a business unit in one industry and implementing it in a different business unit in another industry, but that the competency or the skill used is pretty much the same. All right. So this means that between the two businesses, there needs to be a commonality, and a commonality means a skill or a competency that, when shared by two or more business units, allows them to operate more efficiently and create more value for the customers. And why is that? Because those tasks are extremely similar, and therefore you can use that knowledge. Now, as an example, I like to give the example of the tobacco industry and the brewing industry. Two things that seem very different. So one produces cigarettes, for example, the other one produces beer, and you might say, well, they're extremely different. All right, now both of them have kind of like similar processes, right? Research, development, production, marketing and sales, customer service. But the reality is that the marketing that happens, the marketing that you see for the tobacco industry and the type of marketing that you see for the brewing industry are actually extremely similar. And this is, for example, what Philip Morris did, and they transferred these competencies from their experience in the tobacco industry to accelerate business in the brewing industry. So by using the same skills and by having people that are experts of marketing in the tobacco industry, it allowed them to make a much better and much faster job understanding the marketing as well of the brewing industry. And this is what we mean by transfer of skills. Leveraging skills, on the other hand, slightly different. This is taking a distinctive competency developed by a business unit in one industry and using it to create a new business unit in a different industry. In other words, we are going to take something they're really good at, and then we're going to, based on that, we're going to create a whole new business in a different industry. So the basis of this model is that the company competitive advantage in one industry is being applied to create differentiation. And that means that only by having this competitive advantage that really will create something different, all right, can you use actually leverage of competencies. And you can also have a cost-based competitive advantage for new business units in a different industry. So in other words, going back to the topic of the two different strategies that typically companies can have, either you go with cost efficiency, or in other words, price leader, or you go with doing something different. So let me use the example of Mercedes and how they actually have leveraged their competencies. Mercedes produces cars, and they have the business like any other business, you know, research and development, production, marketing and sales, and then customer service. But when you think about the competitive advantage or the distinctive competency of Mercedes, you typically think about the word safety. Mercedes cars are known for being extremely safe cars. Now, what Mercedes did was pick up this concept and understand what other products could we offer to different industries that would allow us to still use this concept of safety and expand our business into a completely different unit. So what they did was exactly that. They created a whole new business with all the same processes, and they started operating and creating trucks as well, right? So this is an example of how you can leverage one competency you have to create a whole new business. The third option was sharing of resources and capabilities. And here what we try to do is the concept of economies of scope. This means that we try to create synergies that arise when the business units are able to lower the cost or increase differentiation. And economies of scope basically means that you have this synergy of two industries working together, but they work together so well that actually allows you to, for example, either cut costs or create something really more different. And this can be a little bit hard to understand, so I'm going to give an example in a bit. The sources here of cost reduction can be many. For example, you can reduce your costs by sharing a lower of cost structure, for example. For example, if you have two different business units, you might not need two different HR departments, but rather just one, for example. You can also create marketing function that creates differentiation of product, leading to a higher ROIC, return on invested capital. In other words, by having a better marketing, it allows you to actually reduce costs and therefore actually generate higher profitability. And just to understand this a little bit more easily, I'm going to use the company P&G. Now, P&G, as you know, they create a variety of different products, and they have thousands and thousands of products. But let's pick up just here 3 different products that they create: diapers, paper towels, and toilet paper. All right. Now, when you think about this, and why do people buy these 3 things, you might think about, oh, they buy diapers because they have babies, paper towels for the kid, blah, blah. But when you summarize all this, you could actually summarize all of it into one word, and that word would be absorption. So what people are actually buying here is the concept of absorption. So by understanding that these 3 products are actually based on the same need or on the same concept, then you can focus your R&D into the concept of absorption rather than having 3 different departments doing 3 parallel fields and potentially developing in 3 different ways the same thing and wasting a lot of resources. You just have one focusing on this concept, and then that the results of that R&D can be redistributed once again to the diapers, to the paper towel, and to the toilet paper to create new products. Product bundling, on the other hand, is the provision of products that are connected to each other, okay? And therefore, what we do is we create well, a group of products that somehow share a need or share a logics behind it that people typically use together, for example, and we do that to generate more value for the consumer. This allows companies to expand their range, providing customers a more complete package, and customers don't have to go and search in different businesses for the different things they need. And the goal here of bundled products is to offer customers a couple of things. Number one, to offer a lower price and to offer as well a superior set of services. But this does not always require joint ownership. In other words, that does not mean that you need to own, for example, if you have a bundle of 2 different products, that does not mean that you need to own the 2 different products. And I will talk about that in a little bit. So this can also, obviously, this concept of using different products can also mean that you can achieve it through contracts or through partnerships with other companies, like I will talk in a little bit. So one of this example that I have for you is basically the Big Mac menu. Now, when you go to McDonald's, you typically order a menu, and the menu comes with fries and the burger that is produced by McDonald's. But the Coke or the drink is not produced by McDonald's. Rather, it is a contract. And this set of products, this menu, is the concept of a bundle of products. So rather than having to buy each one of them individually, they already put it together for you for approximately the same price, or even saving a little bit of money, and it allows you to actually, it generates more value for the consumer because it saves him time, and it's actually easier for the consumer to also buy it. So to summarize, there's many different ways that we can differentiate our product, and these little techniques that I mentioned, although they are very simple, they actually can generate quite an increase of profitability on your business. And does not, in my opinion, is like a lot of these things, sometimes the simpler solutions can be the best ones, and especially when are solutions that deliver value to the guests or to the customers, those are the solutions that should be implemented as quickly as possible. All right, thank you very much for watching the video. Let me know if you like it and if you have any questions, and I'll see you on the next video of this mini series.